more on this, I'm now joined by Julien Barnes-Dacey from the European Council on Foreign Relations. He's the director of the Middle East and North Africa programme. Hello, thank you very much indeed for your time. First of all, what do you make of the Saudis' new account of what happened to Jamal Khashoggi?
I think it was very clear that they were coming under immense pressure. And evidence was coming out on a day-by-day basis about clear involvement of embassy members or Saudi officials within Khashoggi's appearance. So I think clearly now they're trying to change their story to provide a means of essentially averting some of this intense pressure and diverting it in particular away from the Crown Prince, who many see as being ultimately responsible for this.
That's the thing. The foreign minister was really adamant that the Crown Prince had nothing to do with the murder. Is that plausible, though, that something like this could happen with him having no knowledge whatsoever?
That's certainly what they're saying, but it does seem very hard to fathom that, given the proximity of people close to the Crown Prince who are alleged to have been involved in this operation, but also the fact that he's so clearly centralized control, taken hands-on decision over these hands-on authority over these kind of security decisions. It does stretch the imagination to believe that something like this could happen without his authority.
You mentioned just before, you said drip, drip of information coming from Turkey. And that's the thing. We've had officials giving pro-government media information bit by bit. What do you make of the way Turkey has handled this case?
Well, I think it's hard to read exactly what they are doing. On the one hand, it does seem that they've been trying to push Saudi into a corner in terms of forcing them to acknowledge their involvement in this case, and possibly to try and extract something for that and try and force the Saudis to pay some kind of political or economic price to keep the situation under control. I think what remains to be seen whether this is really about Turkey trying to gain leverage and extract concessions out of Saudi, or whether this is ultimately going to be about Turkey trying to squeeze out Saudi Arabia from a position of regional leadership. And I think much depends on what President Erdogan will do tomorrow. Is he going to brutally expose what the Saudis have done with undeniable, incriminating evidence that will give them nowhere to hide any longer? Or will he actually try and control the information that's coming out, continue to give the Saudis a means of averting pressure from MBS, and as a price for doing that, possibly get economic or political rewards for Ankara? I think that's what we haven't decided yet. We can't see yet.
What kind of concessions or economic political rewards might Ankara want from the Saudis?
Well, I think probably economic more than anything. I think the Turkish economy is in dire straits. Erdogan is struggling in the face of these domestic pressures. Riyadh has the capacity to offer them significant financial rewards in terms of economic aid, in terms of trade, in terms of other such things. And that might be the price that Erdogan is trying to extract from Riyadh to make him push this issue aside and not put on the table the evidence, and I think we all believe that Ankara does have, in terms of really showing what really happened and pointing the finger or not at Riyadh.
And where does the relationship between Riyadh and the US stand right now? Because Donald Trump, his first trip abroad was to Saudi Arabia. He was very slow to condemn the Saudi authorities or say anything negative. And he was talking a lot about the ties between the two countries and business deals. Now, though, he's mentioned lies. So what does that tell us?
I think in the first instance, President Trump has been keen to protect the Saudi relationship. He's formed a very close relationship with Riyadh. MBS is very close to his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. And we have seen U.S. attempts to try and help, shall we say, the Saudis with their cover story, accept what Riyadh is saying. But what Trump does face is significant domestic pressure. I think you see pressure from the media, you see pressure from Congress, and it's making it very hard for him to go along with the story when the evidence doesn't stack up. And that may push Trump to take more significant measures in response to Riyadh.
All right. Thank you very much indeed for your time and your analysis. Julien Barnes-Dacey from the European Council on Foreign Relations. Thank you.